Hello, Micah Burks here to tell you about AgroChemineer, newest board game published by Catalytic Innovations. So let's get to it. So here is the game board. Whenever we set it up, what we're going to do is take the board, and you don't have to do much to that. You can take pretty much any of the counters and use them to track the seasons. It starts on summer. Then you take different score tokens and put them on one where everybody starts. Then you take each of the decks for the different colors and you line them up. I like them in this order because it basically kind of matches the laboratory in a loose kind of way. So what we do is, the way the game works is everybody starts with $30. I call everything dollars, but it goes through a series of rounds. So the game, each round is a month of the year where we go through these steps, and then we go to the next month of the year and repeat the steps. And we do that until somebody reaches 10 points and triggers the end of the game. And then we count up score, give out trophies to whoever did the best of the different categories, and see who has the most points at the end. So let's go over the phases. Now the first phase is going to be the price phase, which is kind of this cool mechanic where we're able to simulate the different market values of a good. So if we take, for example, the first good, which is gray, that's going to be zinc, and it's right here. It's going to be between $1 and $4. So if we look at the cards, you're going to have one of them that's going to be really low price, one of them that's going to be really high price, and the rest are going to kind of be somewhere in the middle. So that gives us the ability to anticipate what the price is going to be throughout the year. So if we kind of mix those up, then whenever we put them up, you will have at the start of the year. So now we see that it's hit 2. Well, if we look at our chart down here, that's on the lower end of the price, closer to lowest. Now you can also tell because of how bold the number is. So see, this is a really bad deal. Iron 4 is as expensive as it gets, so not good. Whereas here, 4 for this one is going to be a much better price because for copper, $4 is almost as low as it gets for dark blue. So now we've got that. Each round at the start of the year, we're just going to shuffle them up. Then we move to the purchasing phase. So here with my $30, which I take a couple more, my $30 from the bank, I am just going to, and here everybody's going to play at the same time. So I'm going to take my $30 and I'm going to look at the market. I can see that copper is a good price. I can see that zinc's a good price. I can see that boron is okay and manganese is okay over here. So I might just take these three, which are all a decent price, and let's look over here. We've got yellow, yellow and blue. So here's yellow and blue, here's yellow and blue. This is the one with light blue. So dark blue, light blue, yellow matches with dark blue, light blue, yellow. So that would be a pretty good one. It would take 4 rounds to make, so it wouldn't finish for an entire year. So it would go through and finish next summer, which is not great for the fertilizer business. We want it to finish in the spring. So it might be worth my time to look at, say, copper, dark blue and yellow and red. Red's a little bit expensive, but let's see if we can make a profit on it. It's going to be 4 for the copper, and then 4 for the red, oops, and then 3 for the yellow. So that's going to cost us a total of $11, and it's going to sell for $11. However, since on the little hourglass, it takes 3 turns to make, that means if we started in the summer and it takes 3 seasons to make, it's going to finish in the spring where it will get us a nice bonus. So we will make money because we're going to break even but get a spring bonus on top of that. So that's something we could do that's profitable. So you kind of plan that all out in the purchasing phase each year, and then everybody's going to take that step at once to get that done. So in this case, purchasing, I'm going to go ahead and just do that. An added expense that is going to mean I'm probably not going to make a profit the first year is that I'm going to have to also pay $4. So I'm going to take 5, get 1 back, and pay $4 to grab one of these research tokens, because the R&D for that formula is going to run me, $4 to basically do it in the lab before I try to do it out in the plant. That way I do a small explosion in here while trying to figure it out instead of a giant explosion in here. So now I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to get 1 of each of this, this, and this, which is again $11. I'm going to take a $1 bill and one of my $10 bills and pay those to the bank to get a red, a yellow, and a dark blue, and put those into my warehouse. I'll just turn them face up so you can see them. And then, so I've purchased 1 research, I've purchased this. Now usually you only start with 1 reactor, so I could spend $10 to get a second reactor. Now that's not gonna leave me enough money to fill it probably. What have I got here? $10. And to get that recipe again, it cost me 11 last time, so I probably couldn't get it again. But maybe the starting recipe, the 3 cheapies, 2 plus 4 plus 3 is $9. So I'll go ahead and do that. I'll take everything but $1 and get 1 of these and 1 of these and 1 of these and put those in my warehouse. Now I'm ready to move on. Once everybody else is done shopping at the table, I'm going to go ahead and move on to the produce phase, where first step is I'm going to see if there's anything in my reactors. There is not. So I move on to step 2. Next, I'm going to take anything that is in my reactors and move them along. Well, again, nothing in there. So now I'm going to take my extra goods in my warehouse, these different minerals, and I'm going to mix them together, but they need time to mix. So I'm going to take these 3, which match this top recipe, so it needs 1 turn. So I'm going to put it on number 1 to start the countdown there. And then my other 3 take 3 turns, so I'm going to put them here. Now whenever I produce those, I've now done the work of building them, I'm going to take my research tokens and flip them so that I can know that those have been made. Now I didn't just do it in the lab, I've done it in real life. So then I'm going to move on to the peddling phase. Here in the summer, I just started making things, so I don't have anything to sell. So I'm going to move on from summer to the next season and go through these steps again. So that's where now I update the prices, and I'm going to keep a discard pile so that you can look back earlier in the year, and that'll help you kind of sense where the prices are going. For example, with iron, it's been at the highest price and now it's at the next highest price. So we can pretty accurately predict that for the rest of the year, this is going to be going down. It might be at $2 or $1 from now on. So now that we've updated the prices, everybody can go shopping. I've got $1 left. What'll it buy me? Well, this one is as cheap as it gets, but it's still more than $1. So I'm just going to pass, and we're going to move on to the production phase. So now we'll see the 3 steps of production. First is to finish batches. So anything that's on number 1, I'm going to take that and put this little stack of resources that's now combined into a single product. I'm going to put that into one of my tanks where now it's available to go to a customer to put on the fields. And then, now that I'm done with, this one isn't on 1 yet, so I finished finishing batches. Now I'm going to progress any batches that are in the tank. So I'm going to take this one and move it from number 3 to number 2. And then it says I can refill empty reactors. Well, I don't have any goods because I ran out of money, so I can't refill. So I will not do that. However, then if we move to peddling, it says I can sell from my tank farm. So I could take this and I could sell it for its price. And that was this recipe, so it sells for $5 plus season bonus, which is $2. So I could turn these around. So I take this, drop this in here, and this in here, and get $7 back. That's 8. $7 back in my bank account. So now I've got some spending money, Now, if you remember, I spent, let's see, did I ever pay for that? No, 5. So I spent 2 plus 4 is 6 plus 3 is $9 to make that, and then I only got a return of $6. So I actually lost some money on that. If you're not careful, since this was above average pricing, I overpaid for it, especially since this upper category has, the smallest bonus. And I sold it in the fall, which is the smaller of the two bonuses. There's not as much need for fertilizer in the fall as there is in the spring. So especially with these up here, you can actually lose money if you're not careful. I did, however, still work toward completing one of the objectives of the game, which is to get all of these markers on an entire category. So it did help me with points, even though I lost a little bit of money on that transaction. Now, now that I finished with pedaling for the fall, we move back to move this to the next stage. We're in summer. Then we go to the prices. So we update all the prices. Looks like iron is not coming down yet. Hey, boron is finally low. Copper is not down. This is going to go up in price because I missed my window. And that stayed the same. So really, that's the only one worth getting. Zinc is not at a bad price. So I could maybe work on getting the stuff I need for zinc and boron and manganese. But manganese is really high. I just missed the window. I could, however, say spend $3 to get one of these and one of these. So I'm going to grab a red from that pile and then a yellow from that pile and just save those for later while they're a good price. And let's see here. Actually, no, I don't have the money for that. So yeah, then I will pass. I did purchasing, so we'll move to production. I'm going to take this, move it on to the next step. Then I can't refill. I don't have a complete recipe because I only have 2 items and it doesn't match either of those. So I'll just save it for later and move to pedaling. I've got nothing in here. So I will move on to spring. Now in spring, we're at the end of the year. I'm gonna see if there's anything worth buying. Looks like nothing's too great. That went up. That came down a little bit. I might go ahead and grab that while it's low because it's not usually gonna get much lower than that. So I am gonna go ahead and take a gamble. Pay $4 to get one of those, and now I have a complete recipe. Now, I still don't have the research for it, so I can't put it in the reactor, but I will be able to soon, because what's gonna happen now is I'm done purchasing, I'm gonna move to production, where now, step 1, anything that's on number 1, I can move to my tank farm. And right up here, I've got a batch that is on number 1, so it can go ready to sell. Now I could also start a new batch, but I don't have that research, so this I cannot put in the reactor. I'm just gonna have to save that till next season, but that's okay, the timing will work out. Now I'm gonna pedal, so price, this combination is there, so it's 11 plus season bonus. Well, let's see here. It's in the beta category, which is here, and we're in spring, so I'm gonna get plus 5. So 11 plus 5 means I'm gonna get $16. I'm gonna take a 5, a 1, and there we go. So I'm gonna go ahead and sell that. And now I ended up at the end of the first year with only $17, and I started with 30. However, I've increased my research by $4, and I added a whole reactor, and I've got supplies in the bank. So I've definitely made some investments. I don't have as much cash on hand, but I have things in motion. So for example, whenever we move, so now if I'm done selling, I'm done with pedaling, so we're gonna go ahead and move this and reset to a new year. And that's where I'm gonna take these, mix them up, and reset for the new year. And I would do that with all of them, but for now I'm just gonna, actually sure, we'll go ahead and we'll just mix them a little bit and It's not easy to do with one hand, but I'll just kind of make an effort at it. Probably painful to watch, but we will get those lined up. And so now we've got new prices for the new year. And then I get to move into purchasing. And here's what I'm going to do first. I'm going to take $5, put it there, take this and put it here, because now I've done the research to put these three onto the board, and they're going to take 3 turns, which means 1, 2, 3, they're going to line up just in time for spring this year as well. And I have $12 to make another investment. I could maybe, looks like manganese is a pretty good price, so I could go for that. Copper's a good price. Zinc is great. So zinc and that, I would pay 4 plus 3 is 7 plus 1 is 8 to make another batch of this, which would get me 10 plus a bonus. And it would only cost $8. So you know what? I've got an open reactor. I'm gonna go ahead and pay $8 to get a zinc, a boron, which is overpriced, but I need it to finish the recipe, and one of these. So now with those 3 items, they go into my warehouse, and now I'm ready to move into the production phase. So here, my reactors are empty, so I'm gonna skip step 1, I'm gonna skip step 2, and move right to step 3, where I put these in the reactor. And since it takes 3 turns, I'm gonna put them on number 3 on the countdown track. Since I put that in a reactor, I get to work toward finishing that objective. And I'm gonna go ahead and make a second batch of the same thing to try to make some good money while I have 2 reactors up and running. So now, those are gonna each cash in for $10 in the spring, plus $5 means at the end of this year, that's gonna get me $30, which is how much I started with, but I'm ahead by research, I'm ahead by a reactor, and I'm ahead by objectives. And I still have $4 in the bank, which, by the way, I would probably spend right now to get a zinc, because you always need zinc for a lot of the recipes, and a copper, which are both at their all-time low price, 1 and 3. So I'm gonna go ahead and lock those up while I have the funds, and then I'm gonna pass. And this year, since I have no money and my reactors are full until spring, I'm probably just gonna be standing by for a couple of rounds while I upkeep my reactors until I can make that big payout, and next year I will be able to run the board. Now that we kind of see how gameplay works, let's take a look at points. So we see now that basically if I, let's say, instead of buying these, let's put those back and get my $4 back. Let's say instead I take $3 and cash that in for one of these. And I research this, even though I can't make it right now. I don't have the stuff, but I'm gonna put that marker on there. Now I've completed research on the beta section, which if we see up here, that's gonna score me an achievement point. So I'm now gonna move up to 3 points, 1 for each of my reactors and 1 for my research category. And then if I can make this batch in a reactor, if I end up getting the things I need, which are one of these, one of these, one of these. If I get the goods and put those 3 goods, gray, blue, green, into a reactor at some point down the road, let's just move these for now out of the way and say I put this into here and get to flip this over. Well, now I have flipped over the category, which is going to score me that point, and I'm going to get to move this up again. So that is really going to be the main way I progress. You can also, if you make a lot of money, you can just, if I buy another reactor, well, that also will score me a point. So once somebody reaches 10 points, which a lot of times will end up meaning that they've filled up this board all the way or most of the way. Like for example, if it looked like this, I would get 1 point for having this filled and another one for having it flipped, so 2 points there. 2 points there. And this one I have filled but not flipped, so that would be another point. So that's 2 plus 1 is 5 points here. And then if I had, say, 2 more reactors, here we are, then that's going to be 5 points there, pushing me all the way to 10 points. And then we have special win conditions for, if I have the most research at the end of the game, that's going to score me a bonus point, pushing me to 11. If I have the most reactors at the end of the game, that's another point that's going to push me to 12. And then finally, a lot of times the game will be decided by who has the most money, because this is about running a business. It's about learning how to use metals that are, in less demand. So if nobody's using copper and the price is low because there's low demand, and you can find a way to use that for more profit, then that's ultimately what the game is about, is finding metals that are lower value and finding a way to make them profitable. So this is going to often decide the point, who gets the 2 points from that. On these, a note, it's going to be whoever gets it first. So let's say, which can be a little bit confusing with simultaneous play, so let's go ahead and kind of play out a scenario here. So at the start of the game, let's say we have everybody's even and it's summer. And in round 1, the blue player buys this, and yellow player buys nothing, and they're ready to move on to fall. Well, since blue player at the end of summer has more reactors, they're going to take this bonus. So let's say then we move to fall, and yellow player buys a reactor, and blue player does not. Well, blue keeps this because of longest road principle, but they're not going to do, so this player would need to get more reactors to take it. However, there's an interesting thing, because with simultaneous play, let's just say that yellow player took it in the fall, and then we move into winter. Well, this round, if blue player buys one, blue doesn't get it back, but if yellow doesn't buy one either, and we move into spring, what happens here is if each player gets another reactor, like let's say they both move to 4. Well, since it's simultaneous, they both progress to 4 reactors at the same time. So what we're going to do is take that, and I've got some markers where blue and yellow are each going to have claim on that trophy for this round, because they both are tied in the round that they moved up simultaneously, because it resolves all at once. So then let's say we move to spring, and blue player says, well, I'm going to buy a reactor, but we haven't moved to fall yet. And yellow player deliberates. They really want to get some supplies. They don't have much money, but they don't want to lose that trophy. And they say, well, I'm going to buy one too. Well, they both bought one in the spring, so they both keep the trophy. And then let's say it moves to fall, and yellow player buys a 6th, and blue player can't follow. Blue player doesn't buy a 6th. Well, blue player now no longer has the trophy, and it goes exclusively to yellow, if blue player doesn't buy it before it moves to winter. So now at this point, yellow has locked this in, because blue player could buy a reactor, but they didn't buy it in the same turn, so it wasn't simultaneous. And they didn't exceed the reactor count of yellow, so yellow is going to hold on to this trophy even though blue caught up, because it's not enough to catch up. You either have to go simultaneously to share or go ahead to secure. And then this one is going to work the same way with these research tokens. It's just how many you have, and if you're each doing them at the same time, you will split the trophy. But if one player gets ahead, they're going to keep the trophy, and if they're the first one to fill up their board, well, they will lock in that victory point and have it for the end of the game. One more important note: these points do not count toward the achievement point track. That's why this is called the achievement points and this is called victory points. These are just going to score after the end game is triggered, so they don't push you to the 10-point mark. So now we've kind of seen how the game works. If you have any questions, then Yep, comment below. Let me know what you think. This is my first time really doing a rules video on a game that I wrote the rule book for. So yeah, let me know what you think. And thanks for tuning in.